Divi has its built-in kind of portfolio module where you can use the portfolio content type that gets created with Divi, and then you can use the module in some different ways to create some different grid layouts and things like that. Well, I wanted to point out a different portfolio plugin that I've used in the past in a couple of sites, which has been pretty cool. In fact, I'll show you briefly my site, which I have not touched in about a year and a half or 2 years, and this is just a very, very simple portfolio site. I'm actually not even using Divi. I'm using a plugin that I purchased that I have to repurchase every year for like $60. And it just had like this basic look up front, some portfolio stuff. And if I click into one of the sections, I'm actually using this other portfolio plugin to create this kind of mosaic tile look and to get all this information down here. And then a lot of them I can click one and I've got this overlay video that'll come up and start to show you like a video of the project that I worked on and stuff. So I've got some testimonials down here from different people. You can go through, and each section is just like a different major section that was iOS and Android apps. This is different 3D stuff that I've worked on. But anyway, this is just a huge portfolio site that I don't really touch. I don't have a blog or anything because I have more work than I can handle right now. I'm not trying to get myself out there or find things. But there is a lot of really, really cool portfolio kind of plugins out there and some interesting things you can do. I want to point this out because, again, this first page is just kind of hand-coded with this stuff going up the side. I bought a theme and just kind of made my stuff fit in here. But then once I get into these individual pages, here's a bunch of websites. I build all of them with Divi. And within this, I use this other portfolio to create these other pages. There's a lot of different cool options you can do. So I want to show you WordPress portfolio called Go Portfolio. I just want to kind of point out some different options that I've used in the past. I've mentioned to you that there are a ton of portfolio plugins out there. I've talked to you about just searching for them on the web, searching for them through the Elegant Themes blog. But this one in particular called Go Portfolio actually has an entire website for it, go-portfolio.com. And you go through and read all about it and stuff, great. You go to the samples page. And you can buy it for $26. Not everything's free, but some things are very affordable when it comes to, doing a bunch of work for you. Let's see, we've got our classic style, more inspiration. Maybe we'll just go to the individual samples. So there's all these different styles of the same thing. So I'll go to the flex style, the style A. Okay, and this is showing a portfolio in a filterable grid. So it comes with these different categories we can set up. And as we select the different categories, it will dynamically filter and just show the projects that are available in that category, which is pretty cool. And then on each one, you can see that I can roll over and it gives a little mini introduction, all in lorem ipsum. And then there's actually some other options here. So some of these I can hit a plus, which will open it larger in a light box. So then I can kind of cycle through if I want. And it looks like some of them are not just images. Some of them I could play. All right, so I can open up in a light box. I can also link, which isn't going anywhere, but I could link out to something separately. Looks like this one has some audio. So you could probably play an image, audio, or video inside of. So yeah, here's one that's got a video on it. And all these are just opening in the light box. That video is unavailable. A bit of an old thing. Here's another video. I thought it was going to start. Okay, yeah, so it's opening up a Vimeo video. You can put in YouTube links or Vimeo links. Pretty cool. And the way, especially that you've got kind of the details under here. Now, this one plugin has a whole bunch of different options. So this is the same plugin, and here's something similar we could do with circular things. Here's rounded rectangles instead of that. Looks like these are all pointing down to the video option. As far as video is concerned, I may have talked briefly about this, but at minimum, you should have some kind of explanation text going along with all of your pieces. As designers, as digital media creators, you need to be able to talk through your design process and explain what, what thoughts go behind what you're doing and why. So at minimum, you should have some kind of explanation. I made mine as simple as possible. So I didn't want to really make time on it, but I basically, hey, here's who I am. And I go into a section. So let's go into my interactive installation section. And when I get to these projects, even if I had nothing else, I at least have an explanation of what's going on. There's not a lot. If you go to any major studio around the country and go to their portfolios, you'll find a lot of them have like very, very detailed definitions of what was going on in the project. Like what was the issue? What was the solution? What was some of the technical aspects? Mine, very, very basic. I just give like a sentence or two explaining what the project was. So this was some kind of interactive wall that uses the Xbox Connect, that you can actually use your hand to control the thing. And I have a little video showing you how it works. In a portfolio, at minimum, you should have some kind of explanation about the piece and then some imagery to go along with it. If you can, I think it's a really, really good idea to create a video of your pieces. If it's more than just imagery, if it's anything interactive or with motion or anything like that, it's pretty easy to make a video. You can use QuickTime to screen record your screen. And it's just really powerful to show off your work in that way. But anyway, if you are showing your portfolio pieces, again, just some text about them, and very, very important if you can have some gallery of images or a video to kind of go through stuff. Another thing to mention, besides just being sure that you always add some kind of definition to it, if you can make a video, if not, just have more than one image that kind of represents it. Another thing to consider is, only show your best work. Now, coming out of college, you might just, all you have is all you have. But as time goes on, your portfolio is going to constantly evolve. And I'm certainly not showing all of the work I've ever done since 1998 when I started working for professional clients and stuff. But I am showing probably some of the best stuff I've done over the last 10 years or so. It's just you don't need to see your whole process and where you've been and everything you've ever done. You want to show a good representation of your best work. So back to this Go Portfolio thing. Here's some other options. So these are all under the samples. I'm under the flex style here. So again, I've got multiple styles, different circles, these are squares with rounded corners. Then this looks like I've got a whole different, so this still has the kind of the filterable isometric box here thing though. But you can see this one replaces the title completely with some information. That's kind of cool. This one also kind of ties it into an e-commerce site, which is interesting. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I see. WooCommerce filterable grid and WooCommerce slider. So we can couple of portfolio elements that are built directly into WooCommerce. So that's kind of cool. Use that. All right, now I'll look at the door style. What's the difference about the door style? Let's let this load. All right, so once again, filterable grid does the same kind of thing, but then looks like, okay, so now this will down. Still got a read more link, and then we've got that overlay pop up, see videos or text or sound or whatever. Looks like the door style just kind of got a stroke around it, extends down a bit, show more information. Interesting. All right, we look at a couple of other styles. With the Vario style, I believe this is the one I ended up using on my site in a similar way. So as you can see, they're not exactly the same, but I always kind of like what's called the mosaic tile look, which is everything's not just in a grid. It kind of builds it into this mosaic, and it all kind of depends on how big your initial image is like this. But I think this is very similar to the one I used. So anyway, a couple of different options here, different looks, all from the same plugin. And we'll look at what else is under samples. The deluxe style. Let's see what else this gives. All right, so this is just an example that different button has space in between them, just a full grid filling up this page. So it also kind of goes down a little bit, has an image underneath. So lots of, oh, these are straight up videos right in the thing. Use a slider like this also. Got the WooCommerce. All right, more inspiration. Let's check out the restaurant for inspiration. Okay, so it's just some more examples of stuff. So anyway, this is a really cool plugin to use. Go Portfolio gives you a lot of really cool options. Another thing I was checking out is if you go to the elegantthemes.com/blog, I've mentioned this several times, right? In terms of just being a kick-ass resource where you can see that here we are on April 5th, and there's already been a post this morning, 10 best WordPress themes for bloggers. And there's been 2 of them, so like 2 to 3 blog posts a day. Really, really good stuff. But more importantly, I can search, and maybe I'll search for portfolio. See what the Elegant Themes blog comes up with for posts for portfolio. So create a scrollable portfolio navigation list with Divi's scroll effects. Okay, interesting. Putting together a great web developer portfolio, just a general full post about it. Let's check this out, 10 Divi sites with cool portfolio pages. So as you can see, I can probably find pages and pages and pages. So here's 38 pages worth of stuff that all have the word portfolio in them. They're not all going to be, here's how to make a portfolio, here's a new plugin. They may have different areas to help, you know, beef up your portfolio or give you some ideas about contact forms or calls to action or things like that. Go check out this 10 Divi sites with cool portfolio pages. I can see that it just kind of gives me some examples to go through and kind of brainstorm. Again, I would also look at different agencies in town or just around the country, look for web agencies and check out their portfolios, get some ideas. But definitely through Divi, you can find a lot of different options and things people have done. Maybe they've used Divi, maybe not. Anyway, there's some different options for you. That Go Portfolio is a really cool one. I'm sure you could find some other interesting things just spending a few minutes diving through the different portfolio posts through the Divi themes. Free Divi download, page portfolio layout pack. Let's check out what this layout looks like. So that's a video. Oh, there we go. All right. Just different layout pack. Ultimately, I just want you to have as completed of a site as you can. We'll start to talk about some things to button up the site as if we were going live, search engines and accessibility and stuff. So I want you to get, you know, as far as you can, dotting the I's and crossing the T's set up. So if you're still plugging away on your home page, you need to blast through that and move on to the rest of your site. Hopefully you've started on the rest of your site. If so, you know, start to lay out the major parts, get all of your content in there and start playing with the details. And certainly don't forget about excessively testing your site. Usually at this point, if I'm working on a professional site that I've built for someone that's paid me money, with 2 weeks before like a hard deadline, as if it has to go live for a trade show or something like that, like I'm done by now and I am testing the crap out of this thing on iPads and iPhones and Android phones and devices and all the different screen sizes I can fake out of my Chrome browser. And I am testing this in all kinds of ways to try and make sure that it's foolproof and to try and make sure that it's pixel perfect and to try and make sure that I'm going to find any issues before a client does, or even worse than a client, before a customer of a client. That's the worst way you can find out about an issue, is if the client comes to you and says they've got customers that are having issues in some particular way. That's never what you want. So I just want to be very, very clear about, you know, testing and, you know, reiterating and having other people, having other users go through things, user experience testing. All of this is very much a big part of what we do working on the web. So getting something finished before like the 11th hour is really part of web development, because just finishing what you think looks right on your initial kind of draft going through, it's inevitable that you and others will find things to tweak and to deal with within your pages as you just start to really roll it out and really stress test it in different environments and have different people go through things. And even besides that kind of stuff, you can always, when it's your own site, your own either portfolio piece or your own portfolio site, you can always just sit there and, you know, unfocus your eyes and get creative and just think of little bits and pieces that you'd like to add to finish things up. So So let me explain what an anchor link is for everyone. An anchor link is a link that either in your menu or just on any button really within any given page, instead of linking to a different page, you can link to a specific spot on a page. Now it can be on the current page you're currently on. You may see it, there's a lot of like tablet style websites that really only have one page. It's just one scrolling page, and as you click links in the menu, it will just like scroll down to a specific spot. You can also use an anchor link to go to a specific spot on a different page, which is pretty cool. So you can link to a separate page and have it scroll to that specific spot. All right, so let me show you how that works. The thing that you want to do is you want to create the actual anchor. So go to a spot that you would want to set up. So you would want to create a button somewhere that when you click, it just automatically scrolls to this spot. So let's the actual section. You can put it on, you can put an anchor link on a section or a row. I think you can even do it on a module, but I usually like to do the whole section if it makes sense. So go ahead and open up the settings. Yep, section settings there. And then you need to go to advanced. And we actually use the CSS ID and classes for it. So I believe we want to use the ID. So before, when we talked about using CSS, this is where we would put a custom identifier for either an entire CSS class or an ID, which is more of just a one-off specific element on anything within Divi. Now we can also use the ID to basically call out anchor links. So you can name that anything you want. Just call it software for now if you want. Mm-hmm. All right, and that's all we needed. So you can hit your check mark, and we now have an anchor set up that we can link to. Now let's go to the button where you want to set the link to go directly to software. All right, so now we have our software link. Okay, so right there where you were, I'll show you how to do it inside of here. You can also do the same thing in your menu. It doesn't really matter, but go into where it says link. And the way you use an anchor link is instead of linking out to a separate page like that whole button link URL, you start with a hashtag. So get rid of all of that and then just type hashtag software. And that's really it. Is you just have to go ahead and you should be able to say, you probably need to save the page and then exit the builder. And there you go, just like that. So you set the anchor in the CSS ID field, and then you can call the anchor from any link by using a hashtag first. And then it will automatically, you can see it even scrolled down to it for you. It like animated down to that specific spot. Now you can do the same thing from your menu. If you were to want to, if you had all menu items that just link to different spots, just as easy, you just put a hashtag in front of the link name. Another thing you can do is you can actually link to specific spots in other pages. So for example, if you wanted to link to that software spot to this page from a different page, you could actually still put in the link for this page, like without a slash, you just after the actual link to the page, just put that hashtag software, and the browser knows that when it finds a hashtag like that, it's looking for an anchor link on that particular page. Pretty easy to use, but really powerful if you do have a lot of content on a single page to be able to allow users to kind of jump to one spot like that.